I rejected him 5 years ago. I whispered it to the hospital window, my breath fogging the glass. Inside, under fluorescent lights that made everything look like a morgue, Ethan sat beside my daughter's bed. His hand, bandaged, blistered, rested near hers on the white sheet. He hadn't touched her. Just watched her breathe. Laughed when he confessed during my heat. Now he's the reason my daughter is still breathing. A nurse passed behind me in the hallway. I didn't move. Myra's chest rose. Fell. Rose again. The oxygen mask made her look smaller than 6 years old. Soot still streaked her temple, where the paramedics hadn't scrubbed hard enough. Ethan shifted. His jaw tightened as he leaned back in the chair, and I saw him wince. Burns along his forearms, another on his neck disappearing under his collar. The kind you get when you run into fire instead of away from it. I'd been at work. 7 minutes away. He'd been closer. Mr. Lowell? I turned. Dr. Patel stood in her blue scrubs, tablet in hand, expression carefully neutral. The kind doctors wore when they were about to tell you how close you came to losing everything. She's stable, Dr. Patel said. Smoke inhalation, but her lungs are clear. We'll keep her overnight for observation, but she should wake up within the hour. My knees almost buckled. The man who brought her in, she glanced through the window. He refused treatment until we'd examined her. 2nd-degree burns on both arms. He's lucky he didn't. I know. I knew exactly how lucky we were. How lucky I was. Dr. Patel's eyes softened. He saved her life, Mr. Lowell. Another 2 minutes and the smoke would've. I know, I said again, sharper this time. Thank you. She left. I stared through the glass. Ethan hadn't looked at me once since the ambulance arrived. Not when they wheeled Mira into the ER. Not when I'd stumbled through the automatic doors, still in my work apron, smelling like coffee and panic. He just stood there in the waiting room, silent, arms wrapped in temporary gauze, and let the nurses pull him toward an exam room. I hadn't said a word to him either. What the hell do you say to the man whose heart you broke 5 years ago when he just pulled your child out of an inferno? Thank you felt obscene. I'm sorry felt 5 years too late. Before I tell you what happened, subscribe to Starry-Eyed Lovers, and tell me where you're watching from. The door to Myra's room opened. Ethan stepped into the hallway, and for the first time in 5 years, we were less than 3 feet apart. He was taller than I remembered. Broader. The kind of build you earn through work, not a gym. His dark hair was shorter now, neat enough to meet fire department regulations. Ash still clung to his shirt collar. His eyes, brown, unreadable, finally met mine. She called for her father, Ethan said quietly. Voice rough from smoke. Where were you? It landed like a fist. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. I was on shift, he continued, still in that too calm tone. Heard the alarm 2 blocks over. Dispatch said family wasn't home. But when I got to her room, she was awake, trying to open the window. My throat burned. She asked for you, Ethan said. I told her you were coming. I was at work. I know. He looked past me, toward the nurse's station. You're always at work. It wasn't accusatory. That made it worse. Ethan, I'm not leaving. He said it like a fact, not a threat. Not until she wakes up. Not after. What? You heard me. He turned toward the elevator. I'll be in the waiting room. Let me know when she's awake. Wait. He stopped but didn't turn around. Why? I forced the word out. Why did you? Because she's 6 years old, Kai. His shoulders were rigid. And she needed someone. The elevator doors opened. He stepped inside. I didn't move until they closed. 5 years ago. The spring formal was too loud, too hot, too full of alphas who thought an omega in heat was an invitation. I wasn't in heat. Just exhausted. 3 exams in 2 days, a shift at the campus bookstore, and my roommate had dragged me out because you need to live a little, Kai. I was living fine. I just wanted to live with 8 hours of sleep. Ethan found me on the balcony. Hey! I glanced over. Recognized him vaguely. Firefighting program. Year behind me. Always in the corner of the lecture hall I TA'd for. Quiet type. The kind of alpha who didn't posture. Hey! I said back, just to be polite. He came closer. Hesitated. His scent hit me, cedar and something clean like winter air. I need to tell you something, Ethan said. Oh no. I don't, I started. I know you don't know me. He rushed through it like he'd practiced. But I've been trying to figure out how to say this for 6 months. And I can't keep pretending I don't feel this. My stomach sank. I think you're incredible, Ethan said. The way you explain things in class. How you don't take shit from anyone. I needed you to know. I needed to. Stop. He stopped. I turned to face him fully. Saw the hope in his eyes. the vulnerability. And I crushed it. You don't know me, I said slowly. You don't know anything about me except that I show up to a lecture hall twice a week. And you think that's enough to what? Confess? During spring formal? I didn't mean. You're what, 20? 21. I laughed. It sounded cruel even to me. You think this is some romance novel? That I'm going to swoon because an alpha I barely recognized decided I'm incredible? His face went pale. I'm not interested, I said. In you. In this. In whatever fantasy you built in your head. Go find someone who is. I walked back inside. I didn't look back. Present. Mira woke up at 11 p.m. The nurse called me in first. I sat on the edge of her bed, held her small hand, and watched her blink at the ceiling with confused, red-rimmed eyes. Daddy. I'm here, baby. There was smoke. Her voice was hoarse. I couldn't find you. I know. I'm so sorry. A man came. She looked at me, wide-eyed. He carried me. He smelled safe. My chest tightened. He's here, I said quietly. Do you want to see him? She nodded. I stepped into the hallway. Ethan was already standing, like he'd been waiting for permission. She wants to see you, I said. He didn't respond. Just walked past me into the room. I stayed in the doorway and watched. Ethan knelt beside the bed, careful not to jostle the four-line. His expression softened in a way I'd never seen before, gentle, almost reverent. Hey, brave girl, he said quietly. Mira smiled. Small, tired, but real. You saved me. You saved yourself, Ethan corrected. You remembered to stay low. That's what kept you safe until I got there. Will you stay? Mira asked. Until I fall asleep? Ethan glanced at me. I nodded. Yeah, he said. I'll stay. He sat in the chair. Myra's eyes drifted shut within minutes, her breathing evening out into sleep. Ethan didn't move. Neither did I. An hour passed. Maybe more. The hospital quieted around us, distant machines beeping, a code announcement overhead, the shuffle of night shift nurses. Finally, Ethan spoke without looking at me. I'm not going anywhere, Kai. His voice was low, steady. Not until she's okay. Not after. You can hate me for it. But I'm not leaving her. I don't hate you. You should. I stepped into the room. Let the door close behind me. Why? I asked. Because I've been watching. He finally met my eyes. For 3 years. I knew where you lived. Where she went to school. I stayed far enough away that you'd never see me. But I was always close enough to. To what? To make sure you were safe. He looked back at Mira. Both of you. The air felt too thin. That's not normal, Ethan. I know. His jaw clenched. I know it's not. But I couldn't stop. And when I heard the alarm tonight, when I saw the address, he stopped. His hands curled into fists on his knees. I thought I was too late, he finished quietly. I should have been horrified. Should have called security. Should have done anything except stand there feeling my chest crack open. She's not yours to protect, I whispered. Ethan's eyes were glassy when he looked at me. I know, he said. But I'm going to anyway. You bought the apartment next to mine. I said it standing in my doorway 3 days after the hospital, holding a box of Myra's clothes I'd just brought up from the laundry room. Ethan was in the hallway, key in hand, unlocking 4B. He didn't look surprised that I knew. Yeah. When? 2 weeks ago. He pushed the door open. The apartment was empty except for a duffel bag on the floor. Lease started yesterday. That's not. I stopped. Took a breath. You can't just move in next door because you saved my daughter. I didn't move here because I saved her. Ethan picked up the duffel, tossed it inside. I moved here because I've been on a waiting list for this building for 8 months. The unit opened up. I took it. Bullshit. Believe what you want, Kai. He met my eyes. But I'm not leaving. Get used to it. He closed the door. I stood there like an idiot, holding laundry, trying to figure out if I was angrier at him or at the part of me that felt relieved. The next morning, Mira and I found a bag hanging on our doorknob. Inside, fresh produce, rice, a container of homemade soup still warm. No note. Who's this from? Mira asked, peering into the bag. No one, I muttered, carrying it inside. But I knew. And when I glanced down the hallway, Ethan's door was already closed. It became a pattern. Every morning, groceries. Sometimes meals. Once, a new carbon monoxide detector still in the box with batteries included. Another time, Myra's favorite snacks that I'd mentioned once at the hospital while she was half asleep. He was listening, watching, remembering everything. I should have confronted him. Should have told him to stop. Instead, I started leaving the soup containers outside his door, washed and stacked. A silent acknowledgement I wasn't ready to say out loud. 2 weeks in, he started walking Mira to school. I came out of the apartment one morning to find them in the hallway. Mira chattering about her art project. Ethan crouched at her level, nodding seriously as she explained why giraffes were better than elephants. "What are you doing?" I asked. Ethan stood, walking her to school. "You've got an early shift. I always walk her. And you're always 10 minutes late clocking in because the route takes 15. He adjusted Myra's backpack strap. "I've got time. She's safer with two of us anyway." Mira grabbed his hand. "Uncle Ethan says we can see the ducks on the way." Uncle Ethan. When the hell did that happen? Kai. Ethan's voice was softer. "Let me help." I wanted to say no. Wanted to tell him he didn't get to insert himself into our lives just because he'd played hero once. But Mira was smiling. Really smiling. The kind she hadn't done since the fire. "Fine," I said. "Just be careful." "Always am." He didn't just walk her to school. He picked her up too. Started showing up at the coffee shop on my late shifts with takeout. Never for himself, always extra from the station. Fixed the leaking faucet in our bathroom without asking. Replaced the burnt-out light bulb in the hallway I'd been meaning to get to for a month. He never asked for permission. Just integrated. And the worst part, it worked. Mira adored him. My stress dropped. The apartment felt less suffocating. I started sleeping through the night for the first time in years. I hated how much I needed it. Would you forgive someone who mistook your pain for love? Comment below. 3 weeks after the fire, I came home to find Ethan in my kitchen. "What the hell?" Mira let me in. He didn't look up from the stove. Something sizzled in the pan, onions, garlic. "She's doing homework in her room. Dinner's almost ready." "You can't just." "Can't just what?" He finally turned, spatula in hand. "Cook. Help. Be here when you're working 60-hour weeks to keep this place. That's not your business. It is when she's eating cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row." My face burned. "You don't know. I know she told me she misses your cooking. I know you're exhausted. And I know you're too stubborn to ask for help." He turned back to the stove. "So I'm not asking. I'm just doing it." I should have thrown him out. Instead, I sank into a chair and put my head in my hands. "Why?" I asked quietly. "Because you need it." That's not an answer. The stove clicked off. Ethan moved to the table, sat across from me. His hands were clean now, the burns healing into pale pink scars. "You want the real answer?" he asked. I looked up. "I never stopped wanting this," Ethan said. "You. Her. A life where I get to be the person you come home to." His voice didn't waver. 5 years ago, you broke me. And I built myself into someone you couldn't mock. Someone useful. Strong. The kind of man who doesn't flinch when you tell him to go to hell. Ethan. I waited, he continued. I watched you struggle. Watched you raise her alone. And I waited for the moment when you'd need me more than you hated me. The room felt too small. "That's fucked up," I whispered. "I know." He leaned back. "But I'm not sorry." Myra's door opened down the hall. Her footsteps pattered toward the kitchen. "Is dinner ready?" she asked brightly, oblivious to the tension. Ethan smiled at her, soft, genuine. "Yeah, kiddo. Wash your hands." She skipped to the sink. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Because he was right. I did need him. And that terrified me more than anything. That night, after Mira fell asleep, I knocked on Ethan's door. He opened it in sweatpants and a faded Academy t-shirt, hair damp from a shower. The apartment behind him was barely furnished, a couch, a table, a single chair. "What do you want from me?" I asked before he could speak. Ethan stepped aside. "Come in." I hesitated, then walked past him. The door clicked shut. "I want you to stop running," Ethan said quietly. "I want you to let me be here. Not because you owe me. Not because you feel guilty. But because you want me here." "I don't." "You do." He moved closer. Not touching, just close. "You've been watching me through the peephole every time I leave. You check the bags I leave before you bring them inside. You wait until I'm gone to put the containers back." My throat tightened. "You're terrified," Ethan said. "Of needing me. Of wanting me. Of the fact that I know exactly how you take your coffee and what makes Mira laugh and where you hide when you're overwhelmed." "Stop. I've been watching you for 3 years, Kai." His voice dropped. "I know the scar on your wrist is from a broken mug. I know you hate the smell of cinnamon because your ex used to wear it. I know you check Myra's breathing every night before you go to bed." I stumbled back. Hit the wall. "That's not love," I choked out. "That's obsession." "Maybe." Ethan didn't move. "But it's the only thing that kept me breathing after you destroyed me. So yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm not ashamed of it. You should be." "Why?" He stepped closer. Still not touching. Because I didn't give up? Because I turned pain into purpose? Because I made myself into someone who could stand in front of you without breaking. His scent, cedar, smoke, something darker now, wrapped around me. I waited 5 years, Ethan said softly. I can wait longer. But I'm not leaving. Not her. Not you. I didn't ask for this. No. His eyes locked on mine. But you need it. And that's enough. I left without another word. But I didn't tell him to stop. The breaking point came a month later. I was closing the coffee shop alone, late shift, manager called in sick, when someone knocked on the locked door. I looked up. Marcus, Myra's other father. The alpha I'd spent 2 years with before he decided fatherhood wasn't worth the effort. I hadn't seen him in 4 years. I opened the door halfway. We're closed. I know. Marcus looked the same, polished, charming, the kind of smile that used to make me feel safe. I need to talk to you. About Mira. Every muscle in my body locked. No. Kai. You signed away your rights. My voice shook. You don't get to. I made a mistake. He stepped closer. The door was still between us. I was young. Scared. But I'm ready now. I want to be part of her life. It's been 4 years. I know. And I regret it every day. His expression softened. Practiced. I've been in therapy. Working on myself. I'm financially stable now. I can give her things you can't. The words hit like a slap. Get out, I said. I'm filing for partial custody. Marcus pulled an envelope from his jacket. My lawyer wanted me to serve you formally, but I thought we could talk first. Work something out. I took the envelope with numb fingers. She doesn't even know you. That's why I want to fix this. He smiled. Warm. Reasonable. I'm not trying to take her away, Kai. I just want to be her father. You were never her father. His expression hardened. The state might disagree, especially when they hear about your living situation. My blood went cold. What? The man next door. Marcus's tone stayed light. Ethan Cross. Firefighter. Convicted stalker from what I hear. He's not. Moved in next to you. Watches your daughter. Cooks in your home. Marcus tilted his head. How does that look to a judge, Kai? A single Omega letting a stranger with an obsession around his child. He saved her life. And now he's embedded himself in it. That's not heroism. That's predatory. Marcus stepped back. Think about it. My lawyer will be in touch. He walked away. I stood there holding the envelope, hands shaking, the world tilting sideways. I don't remember walking home. I don't remember unlocking the door. But suddenly I was in Ethan's apartment, and he was pulling me inside, and I was shaking so hard I couldn't speak. Kai, what happened? I shoved the envelope at him. He read it in silence. His jaw tightened with every line. Marcus, I finally said. Myra's biological father. He wants custody. He can't. He can. My voice cracked. He signed away his rights, but he's claiming duress. Claiming I didn't give him a fair chance. And his lawyer is going to use you as proof I'm unfit. Ethan's hands curled into fists, crumpling the paper. They're going to say you're dangerous, I continued. That you're obsessed. That I'm putting Mira at risk by letting you near her. I would never. I know. I looked at him. But they don't. And a judge won't care about the truth if the lie sounds better. Silence. Then Ethan moved. He pulled out his phone, dialed. Who are you calling? My captain. I need a character witness. He waited. And then a lawyer. The best family attorney I can find. Ethan. No. He met my eyes. I'm not letting him take her. And I'm not letting him use me to hurt you. We fight this. Together. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. His voice was steel. I'm deciding. That's what you do when you love someone. You fight for them. The word hung in the air. Love. I don't deserve, I started. Shut up. Ethan crossed the room. Stood inches away. You don't get to decide what I deserve to give. Not anymore. His scent wrapped around me, protective, fierce, unshakable. And for the first time in 5 years, I let myself lean into it. Daddy, I had the dream again. Myra's voice cut through the darkness at 2 a.m., small and trembling from her doorway. I sat up immediately, heart hammering. Come here, baby. She climbed into bed, curling against me. Her whole body shook. The smoke, she whispered. I can't find you. And everything's hot and I can't breathe. You're safe. I'm right here. But she kept shaking, kept gasping like the air wasn't enough. I tried everything. Held her, talked her through breathing exercises, turned on the lamp so she could see there was no smoke. Nothing worked. She just kept crying. Then I heard the knock. Ethan stood in my doorway, wearing sweatpants and concern. I heard her through the wall. We're fine. No, you're not. He stepped inside without permission, moved to the bed. Crouched at Myra's level. Hey, brave girl. She looked at him with wet, desperate eyes. You remember what I taught you? Ethan asked gently. At the station last week? She nodded. Show me. Myra took a shaky breath, in through the nose, hold out through the mouth. Ethan breathed with her, slow and steady, his hand hovering near hers but not touching. Again, he said. You're doing great. They breathed together. Once. Twice. 10 times. Her shaking stopped. The smoke isn't here, Ethan said quietly. You smell coffee, right? From your dad's shop. And vanilla. That candle he likes. No smoke. Just safe things. Mira sniffed. Nodded. And you hear me, Ethan continued. You hear your dad. The heater clicking. The neighbor's TV through the wall. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. Safe sounds, she repeated. That's right. Ethan smiled. The fire was scary. But it's over. And you're the bravest person I know for getting through it. Really? Really? He glanced at me. Can I stay until she falls asleep? I should have said no. Should have maintained some boundary. But Mira was already reaching for him. Please, Uncle Ethan. He looked at me, asking permission. I nodded. Ethan settled into the chair beside the bed, the one I used when she was sick. Mira kept her hand stretched toward him, fingers barely brushing his wrist. Tell me about the trucks again, she murmured, already drowsy. Engine 7 is the oldest, Ethan started, voice low and soothing. Built in 1985. She's temperamental, but she's saved more lives than any truck in the city. I watched from my side of the bed as his words lulled her to sleep. Watched the way his burned hand rested carefully near hers. The way his shoulders stayed tense, like he was ready to bolt the second I asked him to leave. But I didn't ask. Myra's breathing evened out within minutes. Deep. Peaceful. Ethan stayed. So did I. Neither of us spoke. Just sat there in the half-dark, listening to her breathe. Finally, I whispered, How did you know what to do? Pediatric trauma response training. He didn't look at me. Required for all firefighters. Kids process fear differently. They need sensory grounding. Reassurance that they're not alone. You're good at it. I had a good teacher. His jaw tightened. Lost a kid once. 4 years old. House fire in the Westbrook district. I got there in time, but... He stopped. Smoke inhalation? I asked carefully. Yeah. His voice went flat. I carried him out. Did everything right. But his lungs were too damaged. He died 3 hours later. The silence felt heavy. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. It taught me something. Ethan finally looked at me. I learned that saving someone isn't just about getting them out. It's about helping them survive after. The nightmares. The fear. The trauma. His eyes held mine. That's why I can't leave, he said quietly. Not her. Not when I know what happens if no one stays. My chest ached. You think I'm going to fail her, I said. No. Ethan's voice was firm. I think you're exhausted. I think you're doing everything alone when you don't have to be. And I think you're too scared to let anyone help because the last person you trusted left. He met Marcus. And he was right. I don't know how to let you in, I admitted. Then let me show you. He stayed the rest of the night. Not in the bed, just in the chair, head tilted back, arms crossed, half asleep but present. Every time Mira stirred, his eyes opened. Checking. Waiting. I watched him until dawn crept through the blinds. And something in me cracked open. The custody case moved fast. Marcus's lawyer filed the motion within a week. Emergency hearing scheduled for 3 weeks out. The argument was simple. Biological father seeking to correct a mistake, concerned about the child's current living environment. Ethan hired the lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Teresa Lim, who specialized in family law and didn't smile unless she was winning. They're going to attack you, Teresa said bluntly during our first meeting, looking at Ethan. Make you seem unstable. Obsessive. Dangerous. I know. They'll bring up the fact that you've been watching Kai for 3 years. They'll twist the fire rescue into something predatory. And they'll question why Kai allows you unsupervised access to his daughter. So what do we do? I asked. Teresa leaned back. We control the narrative. Ethan isn't a stalker. He's a concerned citizen who happened to live nearby. The fire wasn't staged, it was random chance. And his presence in your life isn't predatory, it's supportive. But they'll ask why he moved next door, I said. And we'll say he was already on a waiting list. Which is true. Teresa looked at Ethan. You have proof. Emails. Application dated 8 months before the fire. Good. That kills the predatory angle. She turned to me. They'll also question your fitness. Single omega, working 60-hour weeks, relying on a near stranger for childcare. How do we counter that? I swallowed. I don't know. We show stability, Ethan said. Kai's been providing for Mira alone for 6 years. No missed bills. No incidents. One fire caused by faulty wiring, not neglect. And I'm not a stranger. I'm a licensed first responder with a clean record. Teresa nodded. We'll need character witnesses. Your fire captain. Myra's teachers. Neighbors. I'll handle it, Ethan said. And Kai. Teresa's gaze softened slightly. You need to be honest about why Marcus left. The court will ask. Don't protect him. My stomach turned. He'll use it against me. He'll try. But abandonment is abandonment. If he walked away, he doesn't get to waltz back without consequences. Have you ever loved again after loss? Share your story in the comments. That night I broke down. Not in front of Mira. Not where she could hear. But in Ethan's apartment, sitting on his couch, staring at custody papers I couldn't afford to fight. What if they take her? I asked. Voice hollow. They won't. You don't know that. I know I'll do everything in my power to stop it. Ethan sat beside me, close but not touching. And if they try, I'll make sure every judge in that courthouse knows exactly what kind of father Marcus was. He wasn't violent. He just left. That's worse. Ethan's voice was quiet, cold. Violence you can fight. Abandonment just sits there rotting, making you think you weren't worth staying for. I looked at him. He wasn't talking about Marcus anymore. 5 years ago, I started. Don't. He stopped me. We're not doing this now. Not when you're vulnerable. When then? When you mean it. His eyes locked on mine. When you're not just scared and looking for comfort. When you actually want me, not just my help. I do want. Kai. He said my name like a warning. I've waited 5 years. I can wait until you're sure. The restraint in his voice made my chest hurt. What if I'm never sure? I whispered. Then I'll keep waiting. Ethan leaned back. Because the alternative is you choosing me out of fear or gratitude. And I don't want that. I want you to choose me because you can't imagine anyone else. That's a high bar. You said it 5 years ago. His smile was sad. I'm just trying to reach it. 2 weeks before the hearing, my heat started. It hit fast, faster than usual, probably from stress. I woke up at 4 a.m. drenched in sweat, body aching, instincts screaming for an alpha I didn't have. I called my manager, called Myra's school, locked myself in my room with suppressants and water, and tried to ride it out alone like I'd done for 6 years. By noon, I was shaking. By 3 p.m., I was desperate. The knock on my door was soft. Expected. Kai. Ethan's voice through the wood. Myra's at the station with Captain Rhodes. She's safe. I'm here if you need. Go away. Silence. Then, I'm not leaving the hallway. If you need anything, water, food, someone to call, I'm here. I don't need you. I know. A pause. But I'm staying anyway. I wanted to scream at him. Wanted to throw something. Wanted to open the door and let him in and stop fighting this. Instead, I stayed on the floor, head against the wall, listening to him settle outside my door. He stayed there for 6 hours. Didn't knock again. Didn't push. Just stayed. When the worst passed, when my body stopped demanding and started just aching, I opened the door. Ethan was sitting against the opposite wall, eyes closed, arms resting on his knees. He looked exhausted. You didn't have to stay, I said quietly. His eyes opened. Yes, I did. Why? Because you were in pain. And I can't walk away from that. He stood slowly, like his muscles hurt. You okay? Getting there. Myra's still at the station. Captain's wife is making dinner. I can bring her home whenever you're ready. Ethan, I didn't come here expecting anything, he interrupted gently. I came because you needed someone to make sure you were safe. That's it. But his scent was everywhere, cedar and smoke and something raw, like restraint was costing him. You're in rut, I realized. Ending. I'll be fine. That's why you stayed in the hallway. My throat tightened. You didn't trust yourself to come in. I didn't trust that you'd say no. His voice was rough. And I need you to say yes. Not because biology demands it. Because you want me. What if I do? I asked. Want you? Then tell me when you're clear-headed. He stepped back. I'll bring Mira home in an hour. Get some rest. He turned to leave. Ethan. He stopped. Thank you, I said. For staying. He looked back. Smiled, tired, real. Always will. That night, after Mira fell asleep, I knocked on his door again. He opened it, still in rumpled clothes, hair messed like he'd been lying down. I'm clear-headed now, I said. Ethan went still. I'm terrified, I continued. Of needing you. Of what it means if I let you in. Of losing you the way I lost everyone else. Kai. But I want you. I force myself to meet his eyes. Not because you saved her. Not because you help. Because when I'm falling apart, you're the only person who doesn't try to fix me. You just stay. His breath caught. So I'm asking, I said quietly. Stay. Not in the hallway. Not at arm's length. Just stay. For a moment, he didn't move. Then he stepped forward, pulled me inside, and closed the door. His hands framed my face, careful, reverent, like I was something fragile. Are you sure? He asked. No. I smiled despite everything. But I'm choosing you anyway. Ethan kissed me. Soft. Slow. Like he had all the time in the world and wanted to memorize every second. His scent wrapped around me, protective, fierce mine, and I let myself fall into it. Let myself stop fighting. Let myself want. When we pulled apart, his forehead rested against mine. I love you, Ethan said quietly. I've loved you since I was 20 years old and didn't know how to say it. I'll love you when we win this case. I'll love you if we lose. I'll love you through every nightmare and every good day and every moment you're too stubborn to ask for help. My chest ached. That's a long time to love someone. I've got longer. He kissed my forehead. Forever, if you'll let me. I kissed him again. Let the answer live in the touch instead of words I wasn't ready to say yet. But he felt it. And he stayed. Mr. Lowell, can you explain why you allowed a man with no legal relation to your daughter unsupervised access to her care? Marcus's lawyer, a woman in a steel-gray suit with a smile like a scalpel, stood in the center of the courtroom, voice calm and devastating. I sat in the witness box, hands clenched in my lap, trying not to look at Mira in the gallery. She was with Ethan's captain, confused about why we were all in this cold room with the serious judge. He's a firefighter, I said. A first responder. He saved her life. That doesn't answer the question. The lawyer tilted her head. You granted him access to your home, to your child, without a background check, without legal guardianship. Why? Because I trusted him. Based on what? A rescue? She moved closer. Or based on the fact that he'd been watching you for 3 years before the fire? The courtroom murmured. Teresa shot to her feet. Objection. Mischaracterization of facts already entered into evidence. Sustained, Judgment said, voice measured. Counselor, stick to established record. The lawyer smiled. Mr. Cross moved into the apartment next to yours 2 weeks before the fire. Coincidence. He was on a waiting list. For 8 months. Yes, we've seen the emails. She circled back to her table, picked up a folder. But what we haven't established is why a man who was rejected by you 5 years ago would spend 3 years monitoring your location. Your schedule. Your child's school. My stomach dropped. He wasn't monitoring. He knew where you worked. Where Mira attended school. Your route. Your shift times. She looked at the judge. That's not concern, Your Honor. That's surveillance. And Mr. Lowell allowed this man unrestricted access to a 6-year-old child. He saved her, I said again, voice breaking. And my client, she gestured to Marcus, sitting there in his tailored suit, looking every bit the concerned father, wasn't given the opportunity to be present for his daughter at all, because Mr. Lowell denied him access for 4 years. He left, under duress. He was 23, overwhelmed, and made a mistake he spent years trying to correct. Her voice softened, playing to the judge. My client wants to be a father. Mr. Lowell wants to replace him with someone who has exhibited obsessive behavior. The question is, which environment is safer for the child? She sat down. Teresa stood immediately. Redirect, Your Honor. Proceed. Teresa approached me, expression calm. Kai, did Ethan Cross ever harm Mira? No. Did he exhibit inappropriate behavior around her? Never. Has Mira expressed fear or discomfort regarding him? No. She adores him. And during the 3 years Mr. Cross allegedly surveilled you, did he ever approach you? Contact you? Make you feel unsafe? I hesitated. No. So he kept his distance. Respected your boundaries. Until the moment your daughter's life was in danger. Yes. Teresa turned to the judge. Mr. Cross didn't insert himself into their lives, Your Honor. He saved a child and was invited in by a grateful parent. There's no predatory behavior. Just a man who cared enough to stay when everyone else, including my opposing counsel's client, walked away. Ethan was called next. He sat in the witness box, uniform pressed, posture straight. Every inch the disciplined first responder. Marcus's lawyer didn't waste time. Mr. Cross, you testified that you've had feelings for Kai Lowell since you were 20 years old. Is that correct? Yes. And he rejected you? Yes. Humiliated you, in fact. Publicly. Ethan's jaw tightened. Yes. Yet you continued to harbor feelings for him. For 5 years. Yes. And during those 5 years, you monitored his location, knew his schedule, watched his daughter grow up from a distance. I was aware of where they were, Ethan said carefully. Yes. That's stalking, Mr. Cross. No. His voice stayed level. Stalking involves unwanted contact, harassment, threats. I never approached Kai. Never contacted him. Never interfered with his life until the fire. But you moved next door. I applied for housing in that building 8 months before the fire. The unit became available. I took it. Convenient. Fortunate, Ethan corrected. If I hadn't been close that night, Mira would be dead. The courtroom went silent. The lawyer's smile thinned. You expect us to believe you had no ulterior motive? I expect you to look at the evidence. Ethan's eyes were hard. I saved a child's life. I provided support to a single parent who was drowning. And when that parent chose to let me into his life, I stayed. Not because I'm obsessed. Because I love them. Love built on rejection and surveillance. Love built on patience and respect. Ethan leaned forward. I waited 5 years. I stayed away when he wanted distance. I showed up when he needed help. And when he asked me to be part of their lives, I didn't hesitate. That's not obsession. That's commitment. Marcus's lawyer opened her mouth. I'm not done, Ethan said, voice cutting. You want to talk about unsafe environments? Let's talk about Marcus Chin. He walked away from his pregnant partner. Didn't pay child support. Didn't visit. Didn't call. For years of silence. And now he wants custody because what? He's financially stable? That doesn't make him a father. That makes him a stranger with a check. Mr. Cross, Mira doesn't know him, Ethan continued. She knows me. She feels safe with me. And if you take her from Kai and give her to someone who abandoned her, you're not protecting her. You're traumatizing her. Judgman raised a hand. That's enough, Mr. Cross. Ethan sat back, breathing hard. Teresa looked like she wanted to kiss him and strangle him simultaneously. During recess, Ethan found me in the hallway. I'm sorry, he said immediately. I shouldn't have. You were perfect. I grabbed his hand. You said everything I couldn't. Teresa's going to kill me. She'll get over it. I leaned against the wall, exhausted. What if we lose? We won't. But if we do, then we appeal. We fight. We don't stop until she's safe. Ethan's grip tightened. I meant what I said in there. I'm not walking away. Not from her. Not from you. I pulled him into an empty conference room, closed the door, and kissed him hard. He kissed back, desperate, fierce, like he was trying to pour 5 years of waiting into a single moment. When we broke apart, his forehead rested against mine. I love you, I said. Ethan went still. I should have said it weeks ago, I continued. But I was scared. Of needing you. Of this falling apart. Of being the Omega who destroyed you once and might do it again. Kai. But I love you. I met his eyes. I love how you stayed when I pushed you away. I love how you see Mira as more than my daughter. I love that you waited 5 years and never once made me feel like I owed you anything. His hands cupped my face. Say it again. I love you. He kissed me. Soft. Reverent. I love you too, he whispered. Always have. Always will. The judge called us back an hour later. Mira sat between Ethan and me in the gallery, holding both our hands. She didn't understand the words the judge was saying. Custody arrangements, best interests of the child, stability assessments. But she understood when Marcus stood up, expression dark, as the judge delivered the ruling. Based on the evidence presented, Judgman said, I find that Mr. Chen's claim of duress lacks substantiation. His voluntary relinquishment of parental rights was knowing and intentional. Furthermore, the allegations regarding Mr. Cross's conduct do not meet the threshold for concern. He is a licensed professional with a clean record who intervened in an emergency and subsequently provided appropriate support. Marcus's lawyer started to object. I'm not finished, Judgman said sharply. Mr. Lowell has demonstrated consistent care and stability for the child. The introduction of Mr. Cross into their lives, while unconventional, has been beneficial. Myra's therapist reports improved emotional regulation. Her teachers report positive behavioral changes. There is no evidence of harm. She looked directly at Marcus. Mr. Chun, you have the right to petition for supervised visitation. but I will not grant custody to a parent who has been absent for 4 years without extraordinary justification. This case is dismissed." The gavel fell. Marcus's face went red. He turned, stormed out of the courtroom without a word. I couldn't breathe. Ethan's hand found mine, squeezed. "We won," he said quietly. Mira looked up at us, confused. "Does this mean Uncle Ethan can stay?" I looked at Ethan. He looked at me. "Yeah, baby," I said, voice thick. "He can stay." She beamed. "Forever." Ethan crouched down, eye level with her. "If that's okay with you." "It's very okay." She hugged him. "You're my favorite person." "You're mine too, brave girl." I watched them. This man who'd loved me through rejection, this child who'd found safety in a stranger's arms, and felt something settle in my chest. Like coming home. 3 months later. The bonding ceremony was small. Just Ethan's captain and crew, a few neighbors, Myra's teacher. No one from my past. No family who'd turned their backs when I'd gotten pregnant at 23. Just the people who mattered. Mira stood between us in a white dress she'd picked herself, holding a basket of flowers. She took her role as flower girl with deadly seriousness, scattering petals with precision. The officiant, a kind older beta who'd bonded half the fire department, smiled at us. "Ethan, Kai, you've both walked difficult roads to get here. Rejection, loss, fear. But you chose each other anyway. Not because it was easy. Because it was right." Ethan's hand was steady in mine. "Do you, Ethan Cross, take Kai Lowell as your bonded mate? To protect, cherish, and stand beside through every challenge?" "I do." His voice didn't waver. "I've been ready for 5 years." Light laughter from the crew. "And do you, Kai Lowell, take Ethan Cross as your bonded mate? To trust, honor, and choose every day?" I looked at him. This alpha who'd waited, who'd stayed, who'd loved me when I didn't deserve it. "I do." My voice broke. "I rejected you once. I'll choose you every day after this." Ethan's eyes were glassy. "Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you bonded mates." We didn't wait for permission. Ethan kissed me, deep and sure, while the fire crew cheered and Mira clapped excitedly. When we pulled apart, she tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Does this mean you're my papa now?" Ethan knelt down. "If you want me to be." "I do." She threw her arms around his neck. "I knew you'd stay." He held her close, eyes meeting mine over her shoulder. "I knew too," I mouthed. "I love you," he mouthed back. That night, after the reception, after we'd tucked Mira into bed and checked her breathing like we always did, Ethan and I stood on the balcony of our new apartment. Bigger place. Same building. Close enough to his station, close to my shop. "Home. You okay?" Ethan asked, arm around my waist. "Yeah." I leaned into him. "Just thinking. About 5 years ago. Spring formal. How different things would be if I hadn't." "Don't." He turned me to face him. "I'm not interested in a version of us where you said yes out of obligation. Or because you were too polite to say no. I wanted you to choose me. And you did. Took me long enough. You were worth the wait." He kissed my forehead. Every single second. I looked up at the stars, then back at him. "I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving you right." "Good." Ethan smiled. "Because I'm spending the rest of mine making sure you never regret it." He kissed me under the stars, slow, certain, like we had forever. And for the first time in 5 years, I believed it. Inside, Mira called out sleepily. "Papa? Daddy? I love you." We answered together. "We love you too, brave girl." Ethan's hand found mine in the darkness. And we walked back inside. Together.